Colorado State another one of those teams where you look at maybe some of the numbers and especially the record and
Right.
think it doesn't even out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Stevens is one of the best point guards in the country, not the league, the country. He's terrific, and he was gone a lot of games. That just, we were without Shave for some, but not as long as they were without Stevens. It's disruptive. There's not many teams around the country that could lose their best player, and I thought they were good. They did a nice job of weathering that storm, and now I think they're playing really good. So it's just a typical Mountain West situation where you have another really, really good team and you're going to play great.
Isaiah Stevens recently broke Colorado State's career assist record. What makes him a good point guard?
Well, he does everything. He's just a terrific shooter. He's a clutch player. He's got a great feel for the game. He sees the floor. He's experienced. All those things add up to be a great point guard. When you break down his film and you're looking at his reads, you're like, oh, yep, that's the right read. There's some guards that you can take away their, it's just like quarterbacks. You can take away their first check and they can't progress to their second and third option. He can go to all the options and he knows what they are and he's seen them and he can deliver the ball. And then he can score as many as he needs to score too. So he's got a good balance of all those things.
A lot of things you're describing about Stevens, you can pretty much just substitute for Shaver. So
True.
How good a matchup is this going to be between the two?
Yeah, it's two of the premier guards around and two veteran guys that know how to run a team, know how to play, and yeah, Bob, you hit it on the head.
I think it was Max after the game said knew right away. Remember that they got you guys twice last year. Does that mean anything for this one or any?
Everyone always tries to find extra things, and we weren't happy about it. that's for sure. Those were down to the wire games with interesting things, but no, it's an important game for us because of where we sit, and it's an important game for them because they're getting better and they're battling in league. We're all battling in league, and so in that aspect, it's got a lot to it.
It was even though you guys didn't necessarily bad first half last game, played well in the second half, but what was the response like from your team as they kind of came back from something that was probably a little closer than they wanted it to be, I guess?
True, absolutely. Terrific response by our guys. I love these guys. They, because it's always about the response for us. You're going to have tough days. You're going to have ups and downs a little bit. And guys tell me it's a game of mistakes, and the ones that respond to it. We were fortunate to be able to get the win through all those mistakes. So that's a sign of a good team. But I just love the way they always respond the right way.
You go back and look at just sloppiness.
Well, it's also, Fresno's a good defensive team. You look at their numbers; they're and they've beaten some people. I said that they beat New Mexico. They handled UNLV, and so it's probably a combination of both.
We're going to talk to Chase here in a little bit. Obviously, a nice surprise as he started this season so quickly, coming back from where he was. Just kind of take us through his journey since the season started.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't have that much experience of guys coming back after not playing for 2 years. That's a different animal, and because most kids, they just every day they're shooting, every day they're playing, and so to have someone, I had to try to figure out of what he would go through, and I try to be empathetic to help him more, but there's a bit of inexperience on my part, but the bottom line is he worked his way through all this, through the rust, he just there's no shortcuts to it. It takes action, it takes time in the gym, and it takes a commitment to it, and that's what he did, and that's what I saw. And when a kid commits that much to himself as far as player development, well then that, we commit more, because we can't be committing all the time and energy and effort, and then the kid doesn't bring it. It's got to be 50-50, and that's what we saw with him. And when you have a guy like that, you're like, I just remember thinking when I was seeing his shot tracker, when I was seeing his, just couldn't walk by the gym without him being out there shooting. I'm like, note to self, he's going to be a great shooter here.
What are your expectations? What is his role on this team this year right now?
Well, his role has been, when you're in that position, the first and foremost thing is don't screw it up. Like don't go in and cause a run for the other team. Don't go, because, and then when you do that, then it builds. Then it, and so he manages that position well. He doesn't turn the ball over. And then he's tough. That's the thing that's impressed me maybe the most is toughness. Because, think about back to that St. Louis game. He played against one of the best passing point guards in the country, in Yuri Collins, who was leading the country in assists. And Yuri forces you to do some things that are hard, and he puts you in tough positions. That's why he gets so many assists. And that tough position is you got to switch it sometimes, which puts Jace on who at the time was the leading offensive rebounder in the country. And Jace had the toughness to block out that center and physically not get, there's a lot of point guards that just got pushed into the bleachers and then, started crying and, and then the other guy gets the rebound and puts it back in, He was so tough to handle that job, and that he's had a lot of moments like that where I'm like, okay, that's good. And I always trust tough guys because, like I said, it's not the mistakes, it's the response. And tough players, like if he turns it over, he's going to do everything he can to make up for it by being, maybe taking a charge, maybe somehow getting it back, maybe, and then he's hit big shots for us too when they were all great shots. So he's settled into his role, if that defines it or if that kind of describes it, terrifically. And as a freshman, that's hard.
His production and his minutes this year have been pretty steady. The last two games, though, minutes, season lows and minutes played and production. Is it matchups? Is he hurt?
Well, it's also because he's playing behind, like what Bob said, one of the best guards, around. And there's, so yes, it is matchups because, sometimes you're playing against teams that have two big guards, and so you can't have him and Shave out there too much, so that cuts into some minutes and, just those kind of things. And
Is he your point guard of the future?
That certainly is going to have that opportunity. It's we need more guards though. You can't just have one guy, and we need more ball in hand guys. But I like what I've seen, and but it's college. You just got to keep improving. You got to keep getting better. But I love what I've seen so far.
A bunch of people have described Buzo as a perfectionist in a way.
Yeah, that's a good.
How do you coach that in a guy that seemed like the point that he got good when he was okay making mistakes?
Right, yeah, and that takes time, and that's something that I talk a lot about with the guys. And that's the thing, I know where we're going to get him, and I have the end vision of where Buzo's going to be. It's my job to and our jobs as coaches to help him see that vision and know that he's going to get there and have that confidence to do it. So he's comfortable with, when you have perfectionists, they're not comfortable with making mistakes. And I'm like, hey, this mistake that you're making now, you won't be making whether it's a month from now, 2 months from now, or, and so just, it's okay. It's part of, Boo had to do the same thing. And different guys develop at different times, but that make him comfortable being able to do that is the first thing you got to be able to do with a perfectionist.